Lord Buddha has rightly said, just as in candle cannot burn without fire, man cannot live without a spiritual life. Our honorable speaker truly justifies the quote as his life is an inspiring journey for every person out here who would like to embrace spiritualism into their lives. Welcoming Sri Rajesh Rabindranath ji with an heartfelt applause. He is a known expert of Vedanta, scriptures, yoga, and modern management. He has a keen inclination for Vedanta and scriptures since graduation, and his deep interest in spirituality took him on a never-ending journey of self-awareness and self-awakening. To attain his spiritual goal, he addresses in various programs, conferences, seminars in New Jersey, USA on Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta to bring out the message of Vedic scriptures in the light of modern science and management. He is also an esteemed co-founder of Project Self USA and is on a mission to enlighten, prepare and grow people spiritually and guide them to understand and follow the real meaning of life. I am so privileged to welcome Sri Rajesh Rabindranath ji to enlighten us with his deep and life-changing message.
Namaste. My salutations to...
Namaste, bhai. Most welcome to our own home, and whole stage is yours. The topic is spiritual self-discovery, exploring the depth of the soul. Most welcome.
Thank you, Vikrant. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. My salutations to all of you. On behalf of Project Self USA, Bharat, and United Consciousness, I extend my sincere thanks to each one of you for attending this 2 weeks long celebration of International Day of Peace. So today's my topic of discussion is spiritual discovery, the depth of the soul. So in the next 14 minutes, let's do a high-level overview of this topic. Friends, the word spirituality we often use. What exactly is the meaning of spiritual discovery? Let's start with that topic first. The word spirituality or the spiritual comes from the Latin word spiritus. And the literal meaning of this word is breath or breath. But in most of the traditions in the world, the word breath indicates something higher, something beyond the body, something behind the body, or something higher. So the word spiritual discovery indicates that we are trying to discover something in us which is beyond the conventional body. In other words, this is something like doing a self-inquiry. Who am I? What is my real nature? Am I merely is this body? Or is there something behind this body which is beyond the body? So that is the idea of spiritual discovery. So now the question is it really something behind the body? So in the next few minutes, we will do a quick analysis of this topic through various lenses, starting with modern science and going to the Vedanta. So if you really look at the modern science, the neuroscience doesn't agree or accept anything beyond the body. But the vision of the neuroscience, the self we perceive is a byproduct of our brain, neural activities. There is no soul or there is no subtle element behind or beyond the body. The consciousness in us is a byproduct of our brain, and the neural circuits in us stores all our memories, emotions, and everything, and the sense of self to give that continuity of experience. Let's pause a minute. Is this view complete? The good news is that even the scientific community nowadays start thinking that this view, while it can explain a lot of things happening in our body, this view is not complete. You might have heard the hard problem of consciousness. Even though the neural science can explain all the objective aspect of an experience, there is nothing discovered so far can explain the subjective experience of our brain. When I see my child, the neuroscience can explain what happens in the visual cortex and all, meaning all the neural activity, but it cannot explain the subjective experience. That clearly shows that the understanding of the neuroscience is, while it is correct, it may not be complete. And that is where the spiritual traditions, all the traditions in the past, have some answers. And that entity, which we believe that there is something beyond the body, that is what we usually call it as soul. The word soul is very fussy. Different cultures uses it for different meaning. But let's try to understand what exactly is that entity which is beyond the body. And that is what we try to explain in the next 10 minutes, understanding the depth of the soul. So neuroscience, there is no soul, but there is some indication, there are some discovery that there could be something, because all the observed facts cannot be explained by the scientific techniques existing in the current state. So let's talk about various traditions. The word soul came from the old English word called soul, which again means something like your emotional essence or your mental essence or your spiritual essence. And as I said, like different traditions uses this word for different things. So let's start with the Semitic religious concepts, the Judaism, the Islam, and the Christianity. So in the Christianity, the soul, they say that there is something which is beyond the body, and that soul is a creation of the God, and that soul survives your death and eventually judged at the day of judgment. So that is the definition of the word soul given by Christianity. And in the words of Islam, it is pretty much similar, something called Noah, which is again a product of the God, meaning God created that soul, and that is permanent, and it resides in the body, and it survives the body, and finally it is judged at the day of judgment. Judaism also follows a similar concept. So all the Semitic religions, they accept the soul, and they believe that this soul is created by the God, and that soul is your real identity. And once your life is over, that soul will be judged, and it will either go to hell or go to heaven. This is the whole idea of the Semitic concepts on a high level. Now let's come back to the Greek metaphysical models. So they also accept that there is something beyond our mind, typically called as psyche. You can see this a lot in Plato's writing. Again, they believe that this entity will survive. So they also accept that. And in the case of Sikh religion and all the Dharmic religions and some branches of the Hinduism, meaning they believe that again the soul, the Atma, is there, and the goal of this Atma is to find its union with the absolute reality or the God. So that is what the Sikh and some schools of Hindu religion believes. And when it comes to Buddhism, they don't believe in an Atma. It's called Anatta or Anatma in Sanskrit or Anatta in Pali. So Anatma means they don't believe that there is a soul exist or there is an Atma exist. But in their idea, they think that there is a stream of mind. It is shaped by the law of karma, which survives the death. That means they also believe that there is something which exists beyond the body, and that is your true identity. And that is what getting transmigrated from body to body till you reach the state of nirvana. So Buddhism also identifies something, even though they don't call it as soul or Atma, they identify that the stream of mind shaped by the law of karma or governed by the law of karma exists, and that transmigrates from one body to the other. This is the belief of Buddhism. Now let's come back to Vedanta, the Advaita Vedanta, one of the most profound tradition of India. In the vision of Advaita Vedanta, certainly there exists something beyond the body. The Advaita Vedanta believes that your body is not your true identity. There is something beyond the body, behind the body, that is what is your true identity. But this has multiple dimensions. This has multiple dimensions. So the Atma has multiple dimensions. That is what we will try to understand in the next few minutes. So per the vision of Advaita Vedanta, the physical body, that whatever you can touch and feel, is the outer layer of your personality. That is a temporary existence. You are not the physical body, but you have a physical body. There is a difference. So the end of the physical body is not the end of yourself. Beginning of your birth is not exactly is the beginning of you, and the end of your physical body is not the end of yourself. So what exactly is that entity that lies behind your physical body? The first layer is known as the subtle body or Sukshma Sharira. The physical body in Sanskrit is known as Sthula Sharira. The subtle body is something which lies behind the body. It cannot be touched or feel. And this subtle body has 19 components. I don't want to go into the details, but on a high level, you can say that the power of the 5 sense organs of perception, the power of the sense organs of action, and the 5 pranas, which is circulation, distribution, everything will come under there. And then the functions of the conventional mind, the functions of the intellect, the functions of your individuality or the self-identity or the ego, and the functions of your memory. 19 components. So please try to understand here. We are not talking about, when you talk about the power of the sense organs, we are not talking about the power of the eyes. The physical eye is part of your physical body. When you talk about the subtle body, it is the power of the eye. A simple example will demonstrate it. Let's say that you have a computer with a webcam. The webcam refers to the physical body, but the software that makes that webcam work refers to the subtle body. Whereas the physical webcam you can touch and feel, but the software you cannot touch and feel. So the physical body you can touch and feel, but the subtle body you cannot touch and feel. And this subtle body is what transmigrates. It's not the true Atma that transmigrates. It is this subtle body is what transmigrates from body to body according to the law of karma, as per the vision of Vedanta. And if you really speak, there is one more body which is called causal body. We are not going to talk about that. For our understanding, we can stick with these 3 layers. So there is a physical body, there is a subtle body. Now the question is the subtle body is your true identity? The Vedanta says no. There is something, one more layer behind the subtle body. Even the subtle body has a beginning and an end, but what the true nature of yourself is your consciousness, Atma. That is the true Atma, Satchidananda Atma. And this consciousness is beginningless, endless, attributeless, and that is the fundamental reality of the universe. So the true identity of yourself is consciousness. Let's define that consciousness very clearly. This is not the definition of consciousness given by the neuroscience. The definition of the consciousness according to Vedanta is that by which you are aware of your thoughts, that by which you are aware of your emotions, and that by which you are conscious of everything. And we believe that that consciousness is not a part of the body, not an attribute of the brain, and that consciousness is universal. And that there is only one consciousness that pervades everywhere. And that is the depth of your Atma. And discovering that Atma is your all spiritual journey. Every spiritual practice you do, directly or indirectly, leading to the discovery of that Atma. So this is a very high level overview of the topic. So we started with the spiritual discovery by defining what is spirituality. Spirituality is something searching, something behind the body, beyond the body, something higher. And when you discover that spiritual entity yourself, different traditions has different point of views. While the modern science and the neuroscience doesn't admit Atma or an entity behind your body, we find that their viewpoint is not complete. Even in scientific community, especially with the hard problem of human consciousness, there is also discovery and admission that what they have known is not complete. And that is where different traditions in the world, almost all the religious traditions in the world, accept that your real identity is not your body, and the definition of the soul has different meaning in different traditions. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism believe that the soul is an entity created by God and that survives the death, and eventually it will be judged at the day of judgment. And in the case of Buddhism, they don't accept a soul, but they believe that there is an entity which is a stream of your mind which gets transmigrated till you get nirvana. The Sikhism and different schools of Hinduism, they believe that the individual soul or the Atma is in search of that universal soul, that union. That is the goal. And in the case of Advaita Vedanta, you get a larger and a deeper exploration of what is the depth of that Atma. It tells that behind your physical body, there is a subtle body, and behind the subtle body, there is an Atma, and that is your true identity. I wish you a totally, meaning all the best in your spiritual journey, and may you find that peace and tranquility within yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bhai, and you concluded it yourself and you summarized it also yourself. Thank you very much for your blessings. And people who are attending the program, they already know that Shri Rajesh Rabindranath is the founder director of Project Cell, founder of United Consciousness, and this whole movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We thank Shri Rajesh Rabindranath ji for his beautiful explanation. Thank